Hiya boils and ghouls, it's me, NekomimiKira, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome on in. It is nice to see you. Feel free to check out the other videos on my channel, and yeah, I'm just here to do random shenanigans, and so today's video is going to be another DIY tutorial. We are going to be making Blobby from Hotel Transylvania. So yeah, that's what we're going to work on today. So come along with me if you would like to make a Blobby, or if you just want to make some general blob monster thing for your house. So yeah, come along and join me on the journey to make a Blobby. So the first thing you're going to need for this project are pool noodles. Lots of pool noodles. I got 30. You can get them from your local dollar store, which will definitely save you a whole bunch, and of course in the color green. And we're just gonna rip this sticker off because yeah. You're also going to need to print out some eyes for your Blobby. So these are mine. Make sure they're green. And then you're going to want to get a glue gun and some glue sticks. I got small and a large one because you never know how much glue you're going to need. The more, the better.
I take my gun and I go pew, 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 pew.
Aha, I'm just joshing. Scissors. You're going to need a good pair of scissors, so don't forget those. And then you're also going to need some sort of straight blade of some kind, either an X-acto knife or something, whatever works for you. And now we're going through the painful process of ripping off all the stickers on the noodles. You probably could have done this as you were going, but I wanted to get it out of the way now. So the idea is you're going to take your hot glue gun and you're going to put a little bit of glue around the ring of every pool noodle. After that, you're just going to hold them together like so, and voila! A smarter person would have had this plugged in while you're taking off the stickers instead of having to sit here and wait and lose your mind as it heats up. I don't know.
Pew, pew, pew.
But yeah. So if it could just heat up, that would be great. So what do we do while we wait for the glue gun to get hot? Oh, I know. I can become an alien. Me moo me moo me moo. Take me to your leader. Wait, no. I don't want to go to your leader. Take me to your cows. I'll take the cows. Yes, cows. Beep blorp, beep blorp. Ooh. Now it is finally hot. So we're going to put some glue on this inside ring here. Now please be careful on how much glue you put on. You don't want to put too much, and you also want to keep it as centered as possible, because if it goes to the edge, it's going to melt the noodle and you're just going to lose all the support you have of the two flat surfaces going together. So now you just hold them together like so, and you're going to want to hold them for a couple minutes. For me it was at least 10 minutes. Yes, 10 minutes per noodle. So you're going to want to hold on to it. It is definitely a test of patience here. And then after that 10 minutes, you are going to want to check for any like gaps or any spots that didn't seal. As you can see right here, I did find a spot that didn't close up properly. And you want to pick and choose your battles here, because the more glue you add, the more the noodle wants to melt. So sometimes a gap is okay, but a big one like this will ruin the structure and integrity of the noodle when you try to make the circles later. So I did have to fix it. Now you do have the option here, since they are straight noodles, to just lay them down and let them finish drying, but you do have to hold them for that initial time period to complete the seal. And now you're going to grab 2 more noodles and go through this process a million more times. So yeah, we're going to speed through this as we make more noodle lengths. Getting through. Now here I wanted to slow it down for a second to show you what happens when you have a fusing fail. So I put too much glue and it was way too hot, and you can see right here where it all goes wrong. See all that stuff oozing out the sides? That's actually the foam coming out with the glue. You can even feel it in your hands, and you could hear it. It sounds like a sizzling noise. And yeah, it's at this moment that I realized that we were messed up, and I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to try to fix this part. And yeah, that really hurt. Not gonna lie, but yeah, this noodle is toast. It will not fuse. It just melted too much. Again, I forgot, and I left the glue gun on for too long. It got too hot, and this is what the end result was. So yeah, those are not usable, at least not on that end, so we're just gonna move forward now and go on to more noodles. So yeah, that's why you want to have extra noodles, because if any of them fail to fuse, that's okay. You just move on to the next, and later on the scrap bits are going to be important anyway, so no noodle is wasted. You're going to stop at 10, depending on how big you want the blobby. I wanted mine bigger, so I actually went up to 13. And now at this one, we're going to prematurely start bending them, and I just wanted to freeze here to say that I was terrified. I mean, look at my face. I was sweating. I was so afraid of the anchor point of the glue coming apart. Like, I just really, really, really wanted this to not fail. So you are going to want to bend it a whole lot between the noodles and put your hand on the spot where you glued it together to give it some support. And yeah, just keep fiddling with it, keep bending it until you get the 2 points together. And you are ready to glue it up and make your first ring. So here we are, finally getting to make our very first hoop and our first layer of our blobby boy. Now, this is definitely where patience is going to come into play, because unlike the straight noodles, you can't let this one go. You can't just let it rest somewhere. You have to hold it the entire time, which is longer than 10 minutes, I assure you. Again, fixing some issues here to make sure its structural integrity is intact. And again, just have to be really patient here and hold on, and voila! We have our first hoop. It looks like I'd be a hoop dancer or I'm driving a big race car! But yeah, so give it once over, making sure nothing's splitting, nothing coming apart. And I think we are good to go. We have our first layer of our blobby boy. So, yay! On to the next ones, and we're gonna do this so many more times, but you just gotta keep working with it. And how do you not lose your mind while doing this project? Well, you gotta make it, well, a little bit fun. So you know, you just kind of turn that noodle into something that might she's gonna eat me! Yeah, you gotta make it fun, or else you're going to lose your mind. So yeah, just you know, make it a fun adventure while you're doing all of this, because you're going to be here for a long time bending noodles. So patience is key. Patience is very much key here in this project. So now you're going to start sizing it up with your first circle, because you are going to start making it slightly smaller than the next one. So this is where your other cutting device, not the scissor, is going to come in handy, because now you're going to start cutting the tips off the noodles. So here I am taking my knife, and you're going to want to start small. You don't want to take too much off to begin with, or else you're going to be like out of sequence of your noodle circles. So just kind of size it out here, and again, just start off small, because you can always take more off later. So here I am cutting off a very small piece. Slow and steady wins the race, like the turtle. So there we are with our first little ring removed from the noodles. As you can see, I went for a very small piece, because it's a very gradual transition from the base to the top. And then right here I sized it up again just to make sure, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I have to cut a piece off the other end, because you have to keep it symmetrical. So remember, whatever you cut off of one noodle, you have to cut off the other end of the other noodle. Otherwise, by the time they get really small, you're gonna have one noodle that gets way too close to the glue part, and it's just not going to want to stay together. So remember, whatever you take from one side, you have to take from the other. So that's another reason why you want to start small, because if you take too much off from one end, you're going to take the same amount off from another end, and it's just going to get too small too fast. So glue that together, and you're ready to go. You have your second ring. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and okay, this spot I had to slow down for 13, because as the rings get smaller, they do not want to stay together. So you are going to want to find your center here, become almost meditative, and just be calm in the moment. Just breathe. And there we go. Number 13. Up on the tippy top. Woohoo! Voila! We have our base for Blobby. Now this ring here is going to be the base for the crown of his head. And like I said, it's going to be the top of his head. I mean, it also could be a very nice fashion accessory. Put me on the catwalk, boys and girls. Now this is where the spare parts come in handy that I was telling you about. You're going to want to find one that you can bend and kind of start turning into almost like a hat, because that is going to obviously be the base structure of the crown of his head. And there is no real rhyme or reason that I can tell you through this whole process. It's just pretty much you have to feel it as you go. So I would just start taking pieces and sticking them in to see where I could get better structure, what I need to cut off and glue in and everything like that. So yeah, there really isn't much to say. Just make sure you get this part bent in a way that isn't like, you don't want it like a McDonald's arch. You want it to be like arched but with a flat top. It's hard to explain that, but if you see a picture of Blobby, you will understand. So yeah, there's the start of my head for him. And again, you're just going to kind of feel it out here, going through all your pieces, seeing what you can fit in places, what goes where, what can give you great structure to build upon. You really want to get a good cross-section here for stability. And then after you get that is when you're going to start filling in those little gaps in between. Now this is where you're going to want to start taking some of those scraps and cutting them in half, because you don't want a full noodle. You just want it in half to start filling in those gaps and flattening out his head. So once you do that, then you can start kind of building it up, almost like a campfire, you know, like you build a little pyramid, like a teepee. Yeah. So you just start filling in those gaps with the little pieces and start making your shape. And this is really a trust the process part of the project. Like, I know it looks like absolute madness right now. That's what I thought too as I was doing it. I was like, this does not look like a blobby head. But I really just had to trust the journey, trust my instincts, and just trust the noodles, and just kind of go. And you have to be really careful with this part because of all the things that you're gluing down. You really don't want to hurt yourself during all of this. Yeah, so you really want to just keep stacking the pieces in there, filling in all the gaps as best as you possibly can. And now here I am starting to fill in the shape on top of like the skeleton I built of his crown of his head. So, okay, your girl got hungry. I need to take a food break. However, I was very unladylike and forgot to cover my face, so we're gonna just just stop moving. Stop! You're moving too much. Okay, all right. Enough with the chewing. We're gonna move on to continue gluing the head. So, as you can see, I'm putting some pieces here over top, like I said before, to cover the skeleton that I built, to try to give him that dome shape on the top of his head. And at this point, your girl was running out of steam and needed to take a timeout. So here we are on day 2. And I also really hurt my hand using this hot glue. So we've got a blister on my pinky. We've got another blister over here on the inside of my ring finger. And we've got another blister over here on my thumb. So maybe hot glue isn't the best idea for this project for your fingers, but you know, we're just going with it. But as you can see, we finished the head. It's all done. It came together really nicely. Like I said, it was a trust the process thing. It reminds me of a turtle shell. There's the bottom. And yeah, so we are good to go for Blobby's head now. It came out nicer than I thought it would. Now these are the eyes I originally printed out, but they're okay. They're not great. So I printed out some smaller ones, and I actually like these ones a lot better. So I think we're gonna go with these. And you're gonna want some Elmer's glue to put them on. And then I also went and got some other super strong, fast drying adhesive, E6000. So if you can get yourself some great adhesive for gluing the rings together. And now it's time to start building our boy up. We're gonna cut out his eyes. And ignore the streamers. I will explain those later. But yes, we get our eyes cut out, and again, like I said before, make sure you print them on cardstock so they have a little bit of like wiggle to them without being like paper where they're just gonna flop all over the place. I wanted them to have some more stability to them, especially because it was for a 2-year-old's birthday party. So yeah, once you get them in a place where you want them to go and all that fun stuff, you are ready to go. So let's take his crown and base off to get ready to put his head together. So I'm going to take some of that E6000 and put it on here, and we're going to do a nice good cover of that on the ring and get ready to put his head together officially. So he's got a dome. I realized at this point that the glue wasn't touching, so I put it actually on the bigger ring. So it's probably the best idea to start with the bigger ring versus the small ring to make sure that your edges actually touch with each other. So got a little bit more glue on there now. And we're gonna put his head together, and there we go. Now we just gotta set it aside to dry, give it a little squish to make sure all the edges stay in contact with each other, and set that aside to dry for the time being. And now we're gonna start gluing the body together. So like I said, start from the biggest ring and work your way up to the smaller ones. Now make sure as you're going you keep touching along all the edges to make sure it's all making contact so that it gets a really good seal so it doesn't come apart when you try to like pick it up or move it. Almost done, and there we go. We have finally stacked all our rings. So now, since the head is dry by now, which is the cool thing about this E6000 stuff, we can actually put the eyes on. So there's the head all secured on. And I actually ended up using the E6000 for this too because I just wanted it to be fast and I wanted it to get on there. So it's really up to you if you want to use the Elmer's or just stick with whatever other adhesive you got. But yeah, I went for my E6000. And look at that, he's got a cute little face now. He looks so happy. I mean, how can he not be happy? And there he was, all complete. Voila! Then it was at this moment that I realized the part with the streamers was an interactive thing that I wanted to do with the kids where they could stick like bones and stuff into them, like how he is in the movies where stuff is always stuck into him. But I realized that won't work and it's going to rip apart, so I made the executive decision to undo all of that. I took out all the streamers and let all the glue spots that were open seal up because it just wasn't going to work out and he was just going to end up getting ripped apart. And it just wasn't worth the risk after all the hours of work I put in. And you know what? I think he looks a lot better without those streamers dangling from him anyway. So it's up to you if you want to try that in the future, but I like him better without the streamers now, actually. I think he looks adorable. And he's still interactive because his mouth opens and they can feed Blobby. So you can feed him the bones and stuff. So there you go. It still works out. But, yeah, so this is our Blobby boy. Ta-da! Of course, I had to take a selfie with the big man, and this is what he looked like, and he survived the entire party with kids climbing in and out of him and feeding him. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys get to go make yourself a Blobby. Make sure you like and share, and yeah, I appreciate you. Till next time.